Hello, welcome to the Apex Racing League's Renault 3.5 Championship live on Apex Racing TV. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, and alongside me is Marco Barbanera. We're here at Circuit of the Americas, a slightly lower turnout, Marco, today, partly due to this circuit. It's not an easy one by any means, but it is still one which can provide very entertaining racing and really does challenge the drivers to an extreme level.
Yeah, I mean, hello everyone. We didn't have a great turnout in Imola either, and it was a fantastic round. There were some crazy battles all over the track, especially in the longer race, in race 2. We had some crazy moments and some great wheel-to-wheel action. You are absolutely right, this track divides opinions, but I think it fits well with this car. We have some very sweeping sections which are going to be crazy fast in this car, and then the long straights where even without the DRS open you could really, or activated I should say, you can really gain a lot of time in the car that you have in front of you. And also, even though it pains me to say this, there is Martin van Loosenhoorn, there is none of his teammates, which of course we are a bit sad about it, but this also means that without the Racecraft Esports guys, the field is a little bit more balanced, and any one of these 5 guys on the grid today could realistically end up the winner. We got Scott Newton, Jamie Wilson, Thomas Knoll, Byron Daly and Dave Catmore, so we might have a couple of very interesting races for you today, as qualifying is in the middle of the proceedings. And of course, I always remind you that in the booth with me, Sam Fitzpatrick, GTE winner at Daytona this year. Let's not forget about that. So, because when you introduce the broadcast, no one can say it for you. So, but I want to say it every time because it's a great accomplishment.
I appreciate that. Thanks. Also, of course, I'm leading the way in the BSRTC Winter Series.
Exactly.
So, and that's the only BSR league I've ever entered. So, I potentially could say 100% championship winner in the BSRTC. But that's a couple of weeks away. Don't want to get ahead of myself. It's not looking too likely that I'll win that with the opposition, but I'm in the mix anyway. But let's concentrate on these drivers instead. And Jamie Wilson so far has put in a lap time. He was 7/1000th of Scott Newton his first lap time. In fact, the top 3 separated by half a tenth of a second. Quite incredible opening to this. What can Wilson do? He does improve by about 3/10 of a second. He goes provisional pole. I wasn't here for Imola, but at least apart from Imola, Wilson hasn't taken a pole position all season. And Thomas Knoll still in 3rd. David Mills just put in his first lap in 4th. Byron Daly is also out there putting in a lap time. Scott Newton rounds the final corner. Scored a couple of podiums so far this season, and that was a long way off. Clearly a mistake on that last lap. And of course, Marco, around this circuit, it's so difficult not to pick up a 1x, particularly that penultimate corner. You can do so much good for 1.5 minutes around this circuit, and then all of a sudden, it can all go terribly wrong with just 2 corners to go.
Exactly. One of the, I think after Spa, the toughest tracks in regards of off-track and track limits. And you have to be so precise if you want to get a clean lap. And it's so frustrating, of course, when you do a nice lap and then the final corner bites you and gives you that dreaded 1x that invalidates your lap. So, in the race 17x is the limit, but of course in qualifying it only takes 1 to stop you from having a valid lap time, as Jamie Wilson is going very fast. Purple sector 1, purple sector 3, not a great sector 2, but he is on course, I think, to get a better time than what we had earlier, even though now Scott Newton is purple in sector 3, so he's going to go down to the wire. Let's see, Wilson is the first to come to the start-finish line.
Yeah, this is going to be properly close. They're pretty much neck and neck after 3 sectors of the lap. Wilson crosses the line, and he's gone half a second faster again. Newton's got it all to do here. It was a purple final sector from Jamie Wilson as we ride on board with him can see that fantastic livery of Scott's as he approaches the final corner. Can the Aussie take back pole position? He's a little bit squirmish out of the final corner. And has that just cost him? I don't think it did. He's 2/10 behind. Maybe that final corner maybe cost him about a tenth. As Daly, what can he do? This is his first lap time. He only goes ahead of Cudmore over a second off the pace as Daly. Expects him, though, to be much stronger in the race. And actually, that's a black livery. I don't know if you've got the black livery for Byron Daly as well, Marco, but it looks a bit like a Minardi, I'd say.
No, I think, as always, Sam, you're a fantastic colleague, but your relationship with trading paints is troublesome. He's got traditional Valvoline paint that we've seen many times. Even though I really like the the later Minardi paints, the black ones from the 2001 season, more or less onwards, when it became European Minardi. Those were absolutely fantastic. And also the first ever F1 paint scheme of Fernando Alonso. Who can forget that? And I remember him together with Tarso Marquez, his teammate in 2001. I always made a mistake between the two of them. But one would end up being one of the best drivers in the history, and the other got sacked mid-season by Minardi after the Spa race.
Did Alonso crash in at Imola, that race that you saw? I swear he crashed in that.
I have no recollection of Alonso in that race.
Okay, maybe that was the year after.
No, he raced in that, but I think he was already with Renault in 2002. I honestly don't remember. I think Minardi were Mark Webber and Alex Young, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, don't think he took part in 02. I think he was already the Renault test driver. Anyway, we've got a grid to go through. Jamie Wilson is on pole position. He will be joined alongside by Scott Newton. Thomas Knoll starts on the second row of the grid alongside Byron Daly, with David Cudmore starting in 5th. Just got, I think we've got all the drivers on the grid now, as we are about to get going here in the Apex Racing League's Renault 3.5 Championship from Circuit of the Americas. And away we go. Wilson on the inside, and he's not got a fantastic start. Newton going around the outside. It's a very wide turn into turn 1, but I think it's going to be Jamie Wilson just with the upper hand. Newton got the launch off the line. He pulled ahead, but maybe was a little bit too cautious on the outside. There's been no changes amongst the field so far as they try to sort themselves out going through these S's section. Knoll a little bit under pressure from Daly, trying to make some time up in these early stages, but of course through this part of the circuit it's so difficult to stay close. The turbulent air really taking away the front end grip from these drivers, and well, that's a very clean start, Marco. It was just Newton. I don't know if he's a single screen user, but in that situation it's so difficult because you have no idea where the driver on the inside is.
Yeah, Scott also, I'm quite sure, is also broadcasting at the same time on his Twitch channel. I think he uses a multi-monitor setup, but still, no need to be too aggressive, especially with a small field like this. There is time to make up positions.
Top 4 all closing right in on one another. This could be a really competitive race amongst these drivers. It's hard to pick a favourite. Wilson, of course, got a lot of pedigree in GT racing. I think Chimera have raced in the World Championship before. In the GT Championship, and might well be doing so next season as well. Maybe not quite as established in the single-seater categories. Of course, Scott Newton, a very established driver in the Renault, in the Formula Renault 2.0, making the step up to the 3.5. As the top 4, Linus Stern just dropping back is David Cudmore. I'm sure, though, he will pick up on any mistakes these drivers commit.
Exactly. As Byron Daly, I think, has a good run on Thomas Knoll. Going into the first corner, let's see if he goes for it on the inside. I think he will. But it's so tricky to get the move done right, I think, in this corner, especially, like you said, if you got a single monitor setup, or in general, because the track narrows so greatly, and going up the hill, and it's very tough to see where you're going sometimes. And when where your opponent is, the guy you're trying to pass, which is why there are many crashes in that corner.
Newton closing in a little bit through the first part of the lap. He's just set a purple sector 1, 6/100ths faster. It's unusual the lines that these drivers can take through the hairpins. They're so wide on corner entry, you can either kind of cut them off a little bit, or you can use all the width of the circuit, and you can see Newton really closing in the slipstream. Is he going to have a look on the inside into 10? No. He decides to lift out of it. So he didn't feel as though he was going to be able to get fully alongside by the time he broke for that corner. But it shows that if he can just stay within about half a second going onto that back straight, he's going to be in with a great chance of making the move around this part of the circuit.
As I take the opportunity to say hello to everyone watching. Of course, Simone Mario Marcinò, Alessandro Roccatello, who sadly has been left by his Italian connection, so he cannot be racing. Sam Kumo also joining the fun, as lap 2 is about to end, lap 3 about to start. 20-minute race, race 1, 40-minute race, race 2, and Newton is looking very, very feisty, just close and close and close, as he gets the fastest lap of the race so far, trying to get a move done on Jamie Wilson.
Whereas remember Daniel Ricciardo's move on Valtteri Bottas at the 2017 event round here, where he came from absolutely miles back to go for the move, nearly pulled it off with the escalation of that first corner. I believe they go 30 meters elevation going into turn 1. It's quite significant. I think that's about 100 feet, I think I remember the stat was. And so, of course, the drivers don't need to brake quite so early. So you can go for a bit of a dive, of course, down into this one. It all flattens out a bit. And I did say on the last lap, if Newton can stay about half a second within going down this back straight, then he might have a chance into the hairpin. And he is only half a second behind this time. 0.4 of a second behind. Going to really be closing in rapidly now, but, whoa, Wilson, you can see Newton not really closing in whatsoever. It seems as though maybe Scott's happy just to stay behind in this part of the race.
Yeah, maybe he does. I mean, as you can see in the slower part of the track, in the braking zones he gets super close, but that's an effect of the, the accordion effect. A weird line there from Scott, even though you can use, different lines around this final part of the track. It's so wide, but I think that this time around Jamie Wilson got it a little bit better and is able to pull away just slightly from Scott Newton, as in the back Byron Daly has not been able to get as close as he might have wanted to be to Thomas Knoll, as Jamie Wilson fastest lap of the race. Thomas Knoll fastest lap of the race now, 48.001.
Yeah, it's difficult to call where this one's going to go, as Newton nearly loses it just on the traction coming out of that turn 1. The track temperature, by the way, 32 degrees, so the grip isn't going to be too bad. It's often far worse than that here at COTA in Texas, of course, which was once a country, I think, for about 10 years. I think it was 9 years, actually, in the 1850s. And, well, that was before all the Civil War stuff. And, yeah, before the Federation. But, of course, that was a long time ago for Scott Newton. He's now 7/10 of a second behind Jamie Wilson. So he certainly isn't going to have a chance by the end of this back straight. I may well look, actually, at the fascinating stats of Texas in a moment's time. Of course, also the Lone Star State. I can't remember why it's called that.
Because in the flag there is only one star.
Ah, thanks for that.
I think also California has been independent, but for like 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. not kidding, only 2 weeks. Well, yeah, Texas.
There's a lot of nuances about
the Republic of Texas was, I hope I'm not getting them switched around, but I think it was like this. Texas, like you said, independent for many years, and of course California only for a couple of weeks. Even though California got a fantastic flag from those 2 weeks, the bear flag is one of the best state flags in all of North America. As Newton 48.4, Wilson 48.4, Knoll 48.2, Daly 48.7. They are all here and all on equal pace, which is exactly what we predicted at the beginning, and that means that any one of the top 4, I think, can realistically win this race.
Yeah, definitely. It's really competitive out there. Oh dear! Thomas Knoll round.
And the commentator scores, of course, strikes again. Knoll
You
just
are
had the fastest lap
absolutely
of the race.
terrible, Marco.
Yeah.
Oh, so Cudmore now goes ahead for Solar Flare Racing. So Knoll, where he can probably recover a 4th place. He will probably start on the front row of the grid as it stands for race 2, which could be a good advantage. But this is how it happened. Did he get on a curb? Not really. It was just the rear end seemingly losing a bit of grip, and yeah, round he went as we see side by side. Scott Newton's going to go for it for Apex Racing UK. A little bit wide. Can the Team Chimera driver of Jamie Wilson come back round the outside through the first part? And go side by side through almost all of these corners. And Wilson, will he look to the inside into this one? Newton certainly covers it off, almost a little bit of oversteer. Now that's compromised his exit. Not too much there that Wilson could do. And well, that could be a race-defining moment, because Newton pulling away thanks to the turbulent air, and he's already built himself up a ½ a second lead. Of course, no incident limit for this race. It's not like the officials say, so they can use as much of that runoff as possible as Wilson goes wide once again. And well, that's a real break now for Newton.
47.6 for Newton, 49.2 for Byron Daly. I'm curious now to see how fast will Byron Daly go with clean track ahead. But Scott Newton is not messing around, already pulling away from Jamie Wilson, and really, you know, making a statement with this quick lap and the overtake, which we will see once again. As you can see, nice deep braking using the inside line and all the curb. So great stuff from Scott Newton when he gets the position.
Yeah, that was really controlled. I don't know if maybe Wilson didn't think that Newton was going to go for the move, but he put up no defence. Probably the wise thing to do, but you just wonder if Knoll hadn't made that mistake. He would be right on the back of these guys now, but instead he's right on the back of David Cudmore. Got 5.5 tenths of a second to gain. Bit of a Sauber livery. I think got the trading paints right here, but 2015 Sauber. Not one of my favourite liveries, I must say. Didn't have many sponsors on it. Of course, Sauber no longer a thing, and still waiting for the Alfa Romeo livery. Of course, will be released next week. Oh, sorry, tomorrow.
Yeah, I think the testing is starting tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm off school for the entirety of next week, and thankfully Sky Sports, for the first time, are broadcasting all the pre-season testing. So,
wow.
Absolutely just heaven, you know. That's something that you want to do revision whilst watching. As Wilson managed to get within about 1 second of Newton, fallen back now 1.5 seconds behind. Struggling to really put up too much pressure. Here comes Knoll. Will he look to the inside in turn 1? He's got plenty of time to get this one done. Still got 8 minutes as he just lines this one up. This is maybe where the turbulent air is really going to turn across. There's absolutely no chance that, and maybe even the multi-class cars, the LMP1s and the GTEs, don't usually swap positions around this part of the circuit. Not just going in a little bit deep, perhaps hesitating to run over that curve like he did earlier on, which has put himself in this predicament. As well, you can see the contrast in lines. Knoll, well, it was Cudmore. He went wide at one of the corners, and he was wide for the next 4 or 5. And now Knoll will go down the inside into the hairpin, and this should be pretty simple. And I think David will offer too much of a defence. It's not in his best interest. But it looks like he's going to start race 2 on pole position. Knoll back up into 4th.
Very nice move there from Thomas Knoll. Don't think we'll be able to go and catch Byron Daly. Also, Cudmore may be going for a retaliation here, but he thinks better about it, and now I think Knoll, with his superior pace, will pull away. But yeah, no chance of getting Byron Daly. As you can see, Byron Daly is here. Let's get the track map up just for a bit and see all the various positions. And yes, Scott Newton slowly but surely pulling away from Jamie Wilson. I think also we can get that graphics on the screen. Yes, here we go. And you can see this past 4 laps has been always gaining for Newton. Fastest lap of the race this time around, 47.6 for the Apex Racing UK driver.
Yeah, I remember when he was behind Wilson, he was doing the 48, so it's clear that he was being held up, and now that he's been let free, he's well on course for this race victory. But we have seen Scott make mistakes in the past, back when we were broadcasting the Apex Online Racing League, not really affiliated with Apex Racing UK or TV or anything like that. But
it was one of the biggest, oh yeah, moments when I got into Apex Racing TV last year. It was like, oh, they are not related. Wow, one of those things you really give, for oh yeah, it's Apex. So yeah, yeah, but you were saying that. I also remember in Suzuka he had a mistake. And he goes a bit wide here. Remember in Suzuka he was having a decent race and then he crashed spectacularly in race 2, I think, this season, in the Renault 3.5. So yeah, we're not trying to jinx him. He had a little bit of an off there. He was able to... I also have to say 17x is the incident limit, so...
there isn't an incident limit for
there is
this
not?
one.
Okay, perfect. So you are right. Yeah, so no pressure on Scott, by the way. But this has not been his. I think in this lap, Jamie Wilson will gain on him just a fraction. Yeah, 2/10 of a second gained by Jamie Wilson this time around.
Yeah, they're just going faster and faster, gaining confidence. Track actually has risen to 37, so quite considerable increase. I don't think that's the drivers on the circuit heating up the tarmac. I think that's just it getting warmer and warmer. Although it's only 23 degrees. Maybe we had a bit of cloud cover earlier on now. The sun is baking the circuit directly. Wilson barely playing a foot wrong. You've got to be so patient round this circuit. It's so easy to see the driver ahead and try to eke out the extra quarter of a second, but often that's going to lose you more time than it gains. And well, now he does need that quarter of a second though. Brian Daly still at 3rd place, but he's losing time to Thomas Knoll and David Cudmore for that matter. Cudmore certainly gaining some confidence out there in the 48s within a second, considering in qualifying he was over 2 seconds off the paces. Daly, something going wrong there. That was how he lost quite a bit of time on this lap. He lost 2 seconds because of that. And yeah, it's put him in the clutches of Thomas Knoll, 3 seconds between the two of them. As Newton's still just ahead. I'll just say another, not necessarily Texas specific, but they have talked about splitting Texas into 2 or 3 parts, and it's odd how they always promote Jefferson as the new state. They always want to name new states Jefferson, even though Thomas Jefferson probably never visited Texas. I don't think when they wrote the Constitution that Texas was even part of America back when they had 13 states, and yet they still seem desperate to name anything about him. To be fair, he deserves a state name, but well, maybe make it a state they actually visited and knew of. As Wilson now 1.5 seconds off Newton.
As we are getting, I think, into the final couple of laps, maybe a little bit more than that, because we are lapping in the 48s, and we have 3 minutes and a bit left, as Wilson is trying to follow Newton through the S's. Not an easy task. Gap now 1.3 seconds, more or less, and staying there for the most part, as now we've got a purple sector from from Scott Newton. Can Thomas Knoll put some pressure on Byron Daly? I don't think he's close enough to do so.
Yeah, 2.5 seconds. Gonna need to have another mistake from Daly. But Cudmore is absolutely on fire. 6 tenths slow on that last lap than the race leaders. Really impressive. I don't know if he's been able to hang on to his tyres, maybe not quite leaning on the tyres as much as his rivals, which perhaps is helping him at this later stage. But keep this up, David, and you could be a difficult customer in race 2 of the afternoon. Morning, I guess, for him. I think he's from the States, is Cudmore.
He's from Canada.
Canada, okay, so yeah, about 6 hours difference, so yeah, will be the morning for him. Of course, very loyal driver to this series as Scott Newton. This won't be the last lap.
No, this won't, and look at Wilson, fastest lap of the race, 47.4.
I really want to say something about Formula E here, but Marco hasn't seen the Formula E. It's be really
I saw a still from a YouTube video with a car pointing towards the sky, so...
Okay, well, that hadn't got anything to do with what I was going to say. Honestly, fantastic. Anyone who saw the Formula E yesterday will have to agree. Those final 5 minutes or so were absolutely enthralling. Yeah, I can't even talk about it. I'd be referring to it constantly. If I'd have been referring to the whole season, in fact, with... well, have you seen all the other races so far, Mark?
Only the first one.
I
promised you I was going to watch them, but I promised you I was going to watch them all, and I'm still, I have too much motorsport to watch. I promise you I will try to do my best, as another guy trying to do his best right now is Jamie Wilson, pushing so hard. This time around, neither him or Scott Newton is getting significant times through the lap, so there won't be a new personal best or even, I think, a best lap of the race for either of these two guys, as also we see Thomas Knoll closer and closer to Byron Daly, but there won't be time, I think, to go for a move, as the white flag should be in the air this time around for Scott Newton.
Yeah, they forced another lap, 10 seconds to go on the clock. Jamie Wilson, well, on that last lap, yeah, a little bit slower for the pair of them. Both in the 48s, maybe the tyres are just going off. In fact, the track cooling down once again. Now they seem to be dropping off their tyres. Really odd with this. But no, I think Scott should have this one. Okay, he's driven without mistakes so far in this race. Despite mistakes at Atlanta, of course, when we hyped him up. Horrendous curse that time. But he looks well on course. Seemingly through this part of the circuit, Wilson can gain a little bit. He's just got to within 1 second. In fact, now it's got within 0.6 of a second. Maybe a little bit of an issue for Scott Newton, making a small mistake. I didn't really notice too much. Is he a little bit wide there, Wilson? No. Got the apex well. This is now gapped down to just half a second. Newton looking for his first win of the season. Wilson for Team Chimera closing in down to just 0.4 of a second. He's not going to have a chance into the hairpin, I think, because downhill, a long braking zone. And Newton, is he running a little bit wide? No, he's got that one okay. He should be home and dry from here, but he's got to make sure he doesn't make a mistake. Wilson couldn't respond earlier on when Newton made the move just a few corners ago on about lap 5 of this race. He's right on the tail. It's down to 0.2 of a second. Wilson leaving everything to these final couple of corners, but Scott Newton half a second clear. He'll approach the final corner here, and he will surely reach the checkered flag first. Scott Newton wins at Circuit of the Americas in the Apex Racing League's Renault 3.5 Championship. His first win of the season for Apex Racing UK, and boy did he deserve that one. Byron Daly, a solid third. Thomas Knoll and David Cudmore a close 4th and 5th. And Marco, once again, we talked about it earlier on. Not a high turnout today, but it is so competitive out there that race was a real great fun.
Absolutely, look at the great sportsmanship between Newton and Wilson going side by side after the start-finish line. I think also I can imagine complimenting each other, congratulating each other in the official voice channels. Yes, I mean, and this is why I'm a bit angry at iRacing. I have to be honest with you because uh, the only problem that this series is having, in my opinion, is that you have noticed the sudden drop in popularity is when iRacing announced that the car won't be used not only in the World Championship but also in the Pro Series, not because of the deal with Porsche, and that killed all the excitement for this car. Which is a shame because even with a small number of drivers that we have on the grid like today, there is fantastic racing, up and down the field and great excitement. And even in the circuit of the Americas racetrack, they are able to provide some great racing. So, yeah, I mean, all the excitement for the new Formula cars and then iRacing, I understand, of course, because, Porsche is bringing a lot of money, but it leaves a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth, I have to be honest with you.
Yes, absolutely. And the single seaters do tend to struggle in iRacing, so they need all the help they can get. And yeah, this car, lots of hype when it came out, not quite so much anymore. But so it's got some decent popularity in the official series. Hopefully, towards the end of this season, hopefully future seasons of the Apex Racing League's championships, we will see this car raise in popularity. But that didn't stop, like you said, Marco. A fantastic race one of the afternoon, and it was Scott Newton ending up on top. He was half a second ahead of Jamie Wilson in second place. Brian Daly, a distant third. Thomas Knoll made a mistake. He had fantastic pace out there. He'd just replicate that from the front row of the grid, of course, for a race two. He could be a big danger. David Cudmore was in fifth, a significant improvement through the race. He was consistently setting personal best times, and he could be quite difficult to overtake come race two. Of course, will be double the length. And Marco, as I have said a few times in this race, there's no point in us spinning the wheel, but we do absolutely love doing it. And so we'll see what the reverse grid is.
Exactly, should be on a screen right now, and so let's roll it. It is 15, so of course with 5 drivers that is a full reverse. I was thinking about this, and now I do regularly the MX5 Mondays, no reverse wheel. The Le Mans Series Wednesday, no reverse wheel. The Sim Racers World on Thursday, no reverse wheel. The Euro V8 depends. Sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't have it. So when I have the occasion, I always want to spin the wheel.
Absolutely. Take every opportunity. Need to do the MX5s on Tuesday. We'd get 3 reverse wheels, but it's Alex Simpson who I think has that pleasure. We'll be back in about 25 minutes for race 2 of the afternoon from Circuit of the Americas in the Apex Racing League's Renault 3.5 Championship. See you then.
cleared. Punch it. Great job. You did really well.
Can Nikolai Bogotayev hold on to that lead? It's Gary Croft alongside him on the front row. And away we go here at Phillip Island for race 2 of the evening. And it's an awesome start. Who is that? Gary Croft is in the lead of the race currently. Brenton O'Brien in second place. Dom Gantek got an awesome start. It's a poor start for Nikolai Bogotayev though. And so round turn 1. It's all very, very close between those top 3. Jamie McKnight trying to get involved as well. He's moved up into 4th place. It's an awful start for Bogotayev.
Oh, Johnny Brandon, where is he going?
Whoa! And it's the championship leader, Johnny Brandon, off the circuit. He's dropped right to the rear of the field, just further up. That's Foggy going side by side with someone. It's also side by side potentially the second position. Doman Gantar trying to get the move. Jamie McKnight's all over the place, and they could be 3 wide, and there's a car on the grass somehow not making contact with the drivers going through the hairpin. It's a crazy start. Jamie McKnight has moved up into second position now, second in the championship, and whilst his main championship rival is in the grass, he's made an awesome start. Foggy just leads.
Oh, there's crash, there's a big crash.
Oh dear, the leading
Croft
two.
and McKnight.
It's Croft and McKnight. What an incredible start to this race. And they are both in the grass. And Jake McKnight, just as it looked like he could make up a whole heap of points on Johnny Brandon, just made a bit of contact, avoidable from both. And it leaves Brenton O'Brien in the lead of this race.
They didn't hold off with their, the gloves were off because they were beating and banging, as Bingham also has got some trouble. He's dropping fast, and now we have a 3-way.
Cracknell in the lead.
Well, Cracknell is in the lead, and look at that, because Foggy still hasn't gone around O'Brien there, and Gantar is in 4th, Mass is in 5th place. What a fantastic start. It's all happening.
What's a lap for Michael Cracknell? He's gone from 4th
Foggy!
to 1st, and Foggy is nearly off the circuit. He might still pull off the move though. This would be incredible. Trying to push him off, and there's more contact. And O'Brien is off the circuit. He's going to get a slowdown, and this could be really costly for him and Foggy, because round the outside goes Toman Gantar, surely to take the second position in this race. Side by side through the final corner, and across the start-finish line they go. This is an incredible first opening couple of laps. It does mean that Michael Cracknell has got a 2-second lead, but they're side by side. Brenton O'Brien versus Damon Gantar. Brenton O'Brien started in 3rd position. He had an awesome start, but Gantar is trying to get the move done. He can't get it done. He can get it done. O'Brien down into 3rd position as we see more cars off in the background. I think that's Bogotayev.
I think it's Jackson, and we see, oh no, crash again in the back.
Car.
Whiting and Brandon.
Oh, wow. Oh, there's still
Terrible.
changes for position in 2nd position, by the way. We should just cut to this, I think, quickly. O'Brien has got back, and Foggy's trying to get the move as well. So O'Brien, is in 2nd position. He's somehow caught back up to Gantar, and Gantar's lost another position here to Foggy, has he? Yes, he has. So Gantar, from a really strong 2nd position, he's lost it again. Yeah, Jackson trying to get that move currently on Alex Mass in 5th position.
Jackson is around. Oh, he saved it maybe, yes, but he's losing a lot of time.
Brian is giving Michael Cracknell a huge helping hand for potentially his first race victory of this season, because he is now 4 seconds out in the lead. Back comes Nico Foggy though. Down the inside, he's going to have the outside for the next one. They're going to be so deep on the brakes here. And Foggy is all the way round. Can he just push him off ever so slightly? Brenton O'Brien, because Foggy will have the inside for the next corner if he can't do so. And Foggy is going to have the inside for the next corner. And Foggy is up into 2nd position now.
Oh, Klusterman, Gantar. Gantar is around. Klusterman went into the grass, lost a couple of positions. No damage for him, but Gantar lost. Is down to P15. Man, Sam, the action is non-stop in the second race. We need a split screen, absolutely.
Yeah, a few screens, don't we? That was, whose fault was that? Gantar just spun ahead of policeman, to be fair, and wasn't a whole lot he could do. It does mean that Alex Mas, remember, in his first ever feature race is running in P4. What a performance this is.
Uh-oh, big damage from Tony.
What's happened to him again?
I think he got some damage from that contact there. Oh, his teammate pushes him out. Oh, man. Wow, it's all happening. We are only 6 laps in, and we see now Mas in 3rd place on the inside of the first corner. Fantastic move by Mas on O'Brien.
Oh, Warming's got ahead of O'Brien, sorry.
Yeah, O'Brien, I think he's in the grass because his name is flashing in red.
Oh dear.
Yeah, he's spun around.
Oh, that's so annoying for Brenton O'Brien. Has Warmingham gone and hit him here? I wonder if he has. Oh, was there a little bit of a tap there? I'm not quite sure. If there was, then it was very innocent there from Richard Moy.
So yeah, I mean, halfway through the race, 16 of 32, I think if they are changing tires, this is the moment that they have to stop. As we see, Warmingham throwing his car, and Mas is around, I think.
Oh no, that's so disappointing for Alex Mas. He hasn't lost any positions though. Johnny Brandon, yeah, just behind. Oh, and actually, Warmingham letting him back past, and he's going to let past his teammate.
He's damaged. He has damage.
Oh, that's clumsy from Richard Warmingham.
I think he has damage.
Yeah.
Onboard view of the crash. Thank you, Sam Kumo, behind the cameras. Yeah, front contact, definitely. So he didn't hit with his. No, he was just waiting for his opponent. Yeah, that was a clumsy mistake, Sam. You are completely right.
Yeah, and you'll see, just he gets on the power on the grass.
It would be just a small thing, but I think if Ma stays out, he will lead his first lap. No, he's in, so no. I'm wrong even in the little things. Oh, he's around! No, this was on you, Sam. I'm sorry. You just talked about it.
Domin Gantar trying to get the move here on, trying to defend. No, sorry, trying to get the move on Alex Mas. Sorry about that. And yeah, Gantar down the inside, Mas around the outside, almost off the circuit. And can he possibly get the car stopped? Yes, he can. A little bit sideways on the apex. Gantar, though, as we've seen so many times this race, if you can just carry the speed around that hairpin, you get a nice little run into this one. And as he goes down the inside, Domin, he might just be able to pull ahead. No, he won't be able to. Alex Mas is sticking in there. What a brilliant debut performance this is from him. Apart from a little bit of spin on the pit entry, he has been absolutely superb. And Domin Gantar, I sometimes doubt his race car. Boy, was that good, Marco. He is up into 7th position.
I mean, he would like to get another position that would benefit. And of course, McKnight being one of the championship contenders, would be nice to put some points on him as well. Oh, Tony on the outside drifting wildly. That was a bit too much, I think. And this will give a little bit of respite for McKnight in order to catch his breath for a bit and maybe fend off other lunges from Kusterman later in the race.
And Gantar's got past O'Brien. Brilliant move there from Domin Gantar. I didn't see it, but I assume this is quite a nice move. It looks this way, leading up to it, on the outside going into turn 1. Oh, that was a good move. Well done, Domin Gantar. And he's moved up into 6th position. Welcome back to the Apex Racing League's Renault 3.5 Championship live on Apex Racing TV. I'm South Fitzpatrick, and once again I am joined alongside by Marco Barbanet. And after a very exciting race 1, Marco, we saw a race lead change which proved decisive with Scott Newton overtaking Jamie Wilson. I'm sure, despite those two starting from the back of the grid, we're going to see a similar fate in race 2 as well.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome back everyone for the second race of the day. And we talked actually with Scott Newton, like you said, between race 1 and race 2, and I think this is going to be another tasty race. They both are starting in P4 and P5, and slightly later in the day, so I think also a little bit more grip for these guys. I'm really eager to see the difference, because if you remember, like you said, in the first race the temperature was really hot on the track, especially not so much in the air, but now, as you can see from these pictures that we are getting from the track, much of it is in the shade. The sun is very low, so yeah, cooler track, more grip, more fun, who knows. The race 1 was very good, you know, so I cannot wait for this, and we are only 1 minute away from the end of the warm-up session, so we don't have long to wait.
Yeah, absolutely, and then we'll go through your starting grid. Of course, as Michael was saying, late afternoon for this session, so the track temperature's gone from the mid-30s to the low 20s, 21 degrees track temperature, so a lot more good. We were also talking with Scott about how he's going to need a little bit more fuel now for this race due to the high grip. The drivers will be able to get on the brakes for the corner slightly later, so using a little bit more fuel and also get on the power slightly earlier. So yeah, just adding a little bit more fuel into his car could be very important. They don't want to be running out of fuel by the end of this race. As checker flag comes out, and we will be able to go through the grid. By the way, Jamie Lawson was the fastest driver in that practice session. There was only 2 drivers though who set time, so it's all to play for in the second race of the evening, or in the evening for Scott, certainly living in Australia. As we can go through the grid now, and it's David Cudmore on the pole position, Thomas Knoll alongside him. Brian Daly starts in 3rd with Jamie Wilson in 4th, and Scott Newton, race 1 winner, will start from 5th position. Wilson and Newton just yet to get on the grid. 40 minutes this second race of the day. Of course, 20 minutes the first. And hopefully there'll be twice as much action in this one. Of course, the slightly different to in real life. The pole sits starting on the inside of the circuit. In real life, that can get very dirty, but I don't think it's going to be too much of a factor for these drivers. As Jamie Wilson gets onto the grid, the drivers will rev up the engines, and race 2 of the afternoon is about to get underway. And away we go. Cudmore with a decent start. Newton already has got ahead of Wilson, with Knoll all the way around the outside. Cudmore with a good line going into turn 1. He will hang on to it. We've got 3 wide almost going into turn 1. Scott Newton has got up into 2nd position from last. He has escalated the field, and that's an awesome start for him. Wilson's still down in 5th. And, well, Newton might be up into the lead within half a lap of this race, because Cudmore could be a sitting duck. Really stayed close through these first few corners is Knoll, but what a start that was from the Aussie.
Absolutely fantastic, and you are right in pointing straight away that Jamie Wilson is still in last place, and he will try to do his utmost to get already up as we go. I think once again very fanning out, and Thomas Knoll on the inside, Cudmore in the middle, and on the outside is Scott Newton trying to get the first position.
Well, it's going to be maybe Knoll who's got the best chance going into the hairpin, because he's got a fantastic toe. And now we go 3 wide going into turn 10. Almost contact between the top 2. Does Newton realise that there's 2 cars on the inside? There's always contact. There is contact. And now there's going to be contact again. 3 drivers going off. 5 drivers going off the circuit. And now it means that Brian Daly is in the lead. It's Jamie Wilson 2nd. Cudmore, has he got away without too much damage? It was a bit of netco contact, and that's not what we want to see in such a small field. 3 drivers potentially being taken out of the race.
That was absolutely crazy, and I think also a massive amount of lag there, because as we were watching from the chopper, Sam, I'm quite confident that the contact between I think it was Cudmore and Knoll was non-existent. But let's watch it once again. Once again from the chopper, look at this. Yes, look at that. But of course then I think that Cadmore wasn't able to, was not going to be able to stop the car regardless. What I can imagine. Then he hit Scott Newton. So really unfortunate turn of events here. As we watch it once again from the rear of Scott Newton's car.
Yeah, as well, because Cudmore kind of backed out of it and then didn't get fully on the brakes. Newton with absolutely no chance was looking great for a double. Not anymore. As left, Jamie Wilson now going ahead of Byron Daly. Now can Daly respond? He's got a really good exit there as Daly stayed right on the rear end of Jamie Wilson. That Team Chimera car, as he goes down the inside, is going to try to replicate the move that Newton managed to pull off in race 1. Now, is there any response for Wilson? He might try the dummy by going to the inside of the circuit. A little bit of a tight turn in there. Always very clumsy when you go over the curb, but too fair to Daly. Gets that one stopped well, and he's holding onto this race leaders. That's a little bit inevitable in such a long race that this is going to change hands, this lead. But he's doing a good job at the moment, is Daly. Not a Joe who usually makes a whole lot of mistakes. Noel is up into 3rd place, but he's 4 seconds behind these drivers. But if Daly can hold off Wilson for long enough, it might just invite Noel back into this, who I imagine hasn't got too much damage because it was a netcode contact and it was just on the rear right of his car.
Yes, we'll keep a close eye on the clock as Cadmore is in the pits. Scott Newton has come out of the pits, but his car I don't think is behaving very well. As Wilson, fastest lap of the race, 48.7, but also I see Thomas Noel pushing really hard, purple sector 3 for him in this lap. He is 4.4 seconds behind the lead, as I think that Jamie Wilson will go for a move very soon.
Oh, he's just run a bit wide. I was about to say, is he going to go for a move into 9 again? Seeing that left him so vulnerable going into 10, but he's not going to have the option this time. Might be beneficial as we see Newton with another spin, and that car's, like I was saying, maybe not behaving quite as it once did in race 1, despite the extra grip that these drivers have got due to the lower track temperatures. Wilson couldn't really gain too much since that mistake, so once again, Daly is going to be safe. And yeah, 9/10 of a second between these two. Noel is 5 seconds off the race lead. You can just see him in the background there. Cudmore rapidly losing time. He's already been in the pits, of course. And well, after such a positive race 1 for Leo Cudmore, showing a lot of pace. It was an innocent mistake, undoubtedly for him, but he's really changed the complexion of this event. And well, I must say right now, Marco, Byron Daly driving superbly well. He's not the fastest driver necessarily, but he's keeping it very neat and tidy at the moment. It's going to be a mistake which is going to let Jamie Wilson pass.
Yeah, he was a bit dejected between race 1 and race 2 Daly because he couldn't find good pace. But in the end, I think he found his pace maybe with the new track temperature, the slightly cooler conditions, as he gets the fastest lap of the race, 48.1. 48.3 for Wilson, 48.4 for Thomas Noel. I would like to go back and watch the crash again from these two guys' perspective, but I will hold off on doing that for just a bit, because I think Jamie Wilson will have a proper run. Of course, last time I said this, he made a mistake, so we will wait, but I think he won't make the same mistake again. A very nice line to Rudy Esses for the Team Chimera driver, as he has a fantastic exit here, and he's in the draft. If he can get a good run out of this corner here, he might go for the move.
Yeah, he's just going to hesitate, almost runs into the back of his rival. That's a good exit from Daly. Wasn't cut off by the closeness of that Team Chimera driver. So, well, will there be a DRS used this time? Don't think there is. I think they're even down here. As well, will he go to the inside? There's not really enough space for Wilson. Daly defending on the inside. Is he a little bit deep on the brakes? No, he's got it covered once again. Really is timing that well with the braking into that corner. Is he a little bit deep into this one? Yes, he is. And that might be enough to invite the move from Jamie Wilson. But for now, he seems to be okay. Once again, Wilson right on the tail, having to defend into every one of these corners is Daly. Even if he does defend, he's surely going to be under pressure going into turn 1. But just edging out a cup. Noel has really got involved in this one. He's now only 3.5 seconds behind. He's taken 1 second out of the gap on this lap alone. As we start lap 5 of this race. And, well, Wilson's just got to be a little bit more brave in terms of the move. But that was good defense once again from Daly, just covering off the inside.
47.7 fast lap of the race for Thomas Knoll this time around. So, if these two guys keep fighting it out this hard, he might as well join the party. Daly is in the gravel, and Wilson made a mistake as well, I think.
I think he was terrified that he was going to be hit off there, was Wilson. As Daly's going to take the slowdown. And, well, this is going to be a change of position. Now Noel has made up 1 second just on this lap alone. These two fighting each other so much. Daly wide, but once again with a decent exit. He hasn't quite got the exit that he managed to retaliate with a couple of laps ago, but he has got good straight line speed. Daly, will it go to the inside? Yes, he does. With the confidence, he could have gone on to the red part if he wanted to. He didn't even need to because Wilson didn't cover it off too hard. And Wilson, well, he's not going to go for the move in the hairpin either. Now Daly has lost it.
Oh, they're both off!
Now Wilson's lost it as well. And through, maybe going into the lead, is Thomas Knoll, surely. No. Wilson just about hangs on. Now Knoll will go side by side. He's going to have the outside for the next one, but he might just have the confidence to pull off the move. He can go off the circuit if he wants to. There's no incident limit. But Wilson responds, and Wilson takes the lead of the race. Daly only just behind. Now he's going to go for the move on Knoll. Is there an opening going into the penultimate corner? Almost contact. And yeah, wow, that was nearly losing the car completely there. It was Daly. But no, well, what an opportunity that was. Good avoidance, though, for Jamie Wilson to avoid the spinning car of Daly.
Yeah, I think someone put some banana skins in that corner, like in the good old days of Mario Kart, because both Wilson and Daly went wide, which was weird, but this means, I think these guys are driving on the edge, and when they see their opponent make a mistake, they try to save the car and they lose it. So, fair to say that Thomas Knoll's car seems to be okay. And I reiterate, and I've been doing this for the past few rounds, with 3 cars effectively fighting for the lead, we are having a fantastic race. So if you want to join for the final 2 rounds, you can get a very big discount. Maybe you can even get in for free if you tell them that you know us, me and Sam. Yeah, because, we go to 2 super popular tracks. I think we go to Monza and Spa to round up the season, so, what more can you want? Look at this, as we are having once again a train of cars, a small train, but a very strong train. Wilson, Knoll and Daly, P1, P2 and P3.
Knoll managed to make up about 2/10 down that straight thanks to the slipstream. Wasn't nearly close enough. It's just so difficult to stay within about half a second going onto that back straight due to the turbulent air. We did see Knoll make a couple of mistakes. Doesn't necessarily seem to hit his spots every single corner. And he's got to if he's going to win this race, because he's got up against great opposition in Jamie Wilson with, well, compared to Brian Day, he's staying up with these guys at the moment. But you can see maybe having to use a little bit of off the circuit to help him. And so a couple of good final corners there for Knoll. He had fallen to about 9/10 behind, back within 7/10, and now once again using that slipstream to his advantage. Of course, we'd love to see us broadcasters. I think someone mentioned it at Race Spot as well. The DRS and the DRS, the amount of DRSs the drivers can use from now to the end of the race, because I think they're allowed about 8 across the across each race. And it would be great to find that out, because it's such an important strategic option for these drivers. It's the main way that they make overtakes. And, well, Knoll, if he has got any right now, it might be worth deploying them now, because, well, he's still right on the tail. 7/10 the gap.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the slipstream effect is significant in this car, but you know, having the help of DRS is always nice. As they go once again on the backstretch, and there's 0.7 between 1 and 2, 0.8 between 2 and 3. So I don't think that any of these guys is deploying the DRS in this lap. This is the corner where they all, basically, almost all of them spun a couple of laps ago. As this
Yeah,
is
they
the
were
more,
all leaders.
yeah, the more twisty section of the track. And of course, we always say about this track that one of the redeeming qualities of this track is that it's so different between the first part and the second part that you need to find a good balance in the setup if you want to get, you know, good lap, good result. And this particular car here seems to be very susceptible to the quick change of directions, especially when you're going straight and then you get a sudden corner, not like a sweeping corner. When you have the DRS open, of course, we've seen many times that you have to keep your wheel straight, because at the minimum moment you point your wheel in another direction. Oh no!
Was around. I think he, I can't remember where he spun in race 1. I think that may have been the same spot actually, but it's either way, costing him a similar amount of time, about 6 seconds behind Byron Daly, and maybe Noel's chances of the race win have just gone there. We knew that he was having to push really hard. He dropped to about 1.25 seconds off the race lead, so had to put in a couple of great times. And he tried to do that, but at quite an expense.
Let's get a replay of that from the onboard of Byron Daly. He lost a bit of time, of course, but better to lose a bit of time than to lose the front wing. As now the gap is 3.5 seconds between P1 and P2, but still a long way to go, so anything can happen as Noel is back pointing in the right direction. Cadmore is in 4th, and sadly the only retiree so far, Scott Newton, the race 1 winner. Let's go back to that start of the race. Let's watch it from the perspective of Jamie Wilson, who basically, by having a poor start, got very lucky.
Yeah, you'll see Newton down the inside here. He just gets everyone, doesn't he? That was an incredible bravery there from Newton. Was pretty fortunate that those two drivers on the outside, which were Noel and Daly, spotted him. Nothing really too much that Wilson could do at this point. Just try and keep his nose clean. And they got ever so close by the end of this SS section. We're all in the mix for the race lead come the end of the back straight. So you can see trying to just pick off one of them. This was Byron Daly, I believe. He was trying to get past, and you'll see Noel getting the mega slipstream behind the top two, Newton and Cudmore, who are now 4th and 5th, the bottom 2 positions in this race.
Wow, that was, oh! The way they both avoided Cadmore's car was something else, and one, we will go back to the live racing very soon, because Daly is closing in on Wilson, but let's look at the start from Scott Newton's perspective.
Yeah, this is bold. Boy, he wasn't too far away from maybe outbreaking himself, but that was really impressive. I fully expected those two on the outside to just turn in on him. But of course, the spotters that they have on iRacing clearly helping, being told 3 wide you're on the outside, and leaving plenty of space was everyone there. Daly, like you said, taking a little bit of time out of Wilson on this lap. He took out 4/10 through sector 3. I think just losing a little bit of time through the other sector. He's failing to really mount too big an attack. Wilson does a 48.84. Daly a 48.15. Noel a 47.63. It's so frustrating. He's still only 6 seconds off the lead, but realistically, I don't think he's going to be able to challenge by the end of this. But yeah, Thomas Knoll was in the mix for race 1 as well. And yeah, race 2 was also disappeared from him. Just needs to improve on his consistency.
I absolutely agree with you. Of course, you learn from these mistakes, and once again, you have the entire week to think about it. And of course, also not only that, but also you have the the remaining 30 minutes after the mistake you made. You finish and you are running alone, and you keep thinking about it. But going back to the battle for first, the gap keeps going down. In the first part of the lap, at least 2.2 seconds now. And Daly, if we jump on board with him, can really see up close Jamie Wilson.
I only just noticed with the sector times we get, this from the hairpin to the end of the lap is sector 4, so you got a 20-second sector 1, 23-second sector 2, 21-second sector 3, and then you got 43-second sector 4. iRacing, I believe, set those sector times, so it's not us. So just unusual why they set it like that. I don't know why we can't just have 3 sectors, to be honest, but there you go. But so certainly sector 4 is really where you can make the time up with it being double in length. On this lap then, 2/10 faster again for Brian Daly, his first 47 of the day.
And you know, Sam, until it's 5-6 sectors, it's manageable, but folks watching at home have never had the pain to do a broadcast from the Nordschleife when you have... You have
12,
to scroll. I have to scroll basically outside of my real life window in my room to be able to go and check the final sectors of the lap. So yeah. Oh well. Good for us that we have a very nice broadcasting software. Because yeah, when you do the races in these longer tracks, it can be difficult. Let's put it this way. This lap, like you said, 0.2 of a second. Let's 2.24 to be precise. 6.87 in the previous lap. It seems to me that that the real gains that he is making, that Daly is making, are in the first part of the lap, and then in the quicker part, and then in the back end of the lap, Wilson is able to offset a bit of the time lost. But still, Daly is gaining, and he's gaining. And in the longer race like this, I think he can close the gap if he's able to keep it consistent and not make any mistakes.
Yeah, it's incredible how this race has turned, because remember, Wilson was behind Daly only about 10 minutes ago. We're only halfway through this event so far. And yeah, so Wilson was ahead of Daly earlier on. Then managed to get the move pulled away quite comfortably. Now it's Daly, the one who's responding, just improving his lap times every single time. Wilson with a 47.96, so that's better for him, but Daly in the 47.68 now. So another 0.3 faster, 2.3 the gap. Should also talk about next weekend. We will be hosting another special event preparation race. Of course, Sebring, 12 hours will be happening in just a couple of weeks on iRacing, and so Apex Racing TV are hosting a 90-minute race on Saturday. We'll kick off at about 20 GMT. Should be very good fun. We've got the DP and the GTEs and the GT3s. Of course, we're broadcasting the Euro V8s, unfortunately, Marco, but if it weren't for that, would you consider racing that after, of course, your fantastic performance in the Bathurst race?
Yes, I would. I was thinking about it, and I think one of my teammates already signed up for the race because we are bringing like the big guns for the Sebring 12 hours. I think we are having 4 or 5 teams in the proper race. So yeah, and we aim to have all teams in the top split and then my team in the bottom split. But yeah, I mean, one thing that I'm really happy about is that on Apex Racing TV we are really, as Noel makes a little mistake there, we are getting every new week that comes, we have more and more of these double headers, which we offer 2 races in the same night, sometimes even going on at the same time, so the viewers can really pick what they choose, because we also offer different kinds of shows. On Wednesdays you have the Le Mans Series and the F3, even though they are offset by 1 hour. So wow. So I mean, you can just watch one and then switch to the other. On Thursdays we have the Radicals and the GT3s, which is completely different kind of racing. On Mondays we have the MX-5s, we have the War GT, we have the Ricmotech a little bit later, and now this Saturday we will have the V8s and the IMSA cars in the Sebring 90-minute race. So I'm really happy every time we do all these broadcasts all together, because as a fan, I like to have an alternative, and of course the best is to have like both streams open and watch both, or maybe one on the computer, one on the tablet, or if you have more than one monitor, you know better than me how to use them, and it's always great fun.
Yeah, definitely. We certainly need something else on the Sundays. Maybe a returning BSR league perhaps will be on Sunday. That's not rumours or anything, but of course we used to have the BSR Sundays with the Porsche 911 Cup car.
Mm-hmm. Which I know,
back next season.
Now that it's the World Championship car, I think it's more than it's a great idea to bring it back, as Wilson, fastest lap of the race 47.2, 48.0 for Daly. He had that moment there, so better. And now I think Daly, more than looking in front, he will have to look behind, because here comes Thomas Knoll. And let's see if I can quickly get the comparison of the last 5 laps on the screen. And as you can see right now, apart from lap 11, Knoll is lapping significantly quicker than Daly.
Fantastic time that last time by Wilson. Managed to set the purple lap time of the race, the fastest lap time of the race, 47.25. Only 1/10 slower than that was Thomas Knoll. And Byron Daly, with the mistake we saw through the S's, quite a bit off, 8/10 slower on that lap. Really has stalled his progress. It does seem though that Thomas Knoll is the fastest driver out there, but he's got 1 second of course to catch up to Daly. That's very possible, but he's got 4.5 seconds to catch up to Jamie Wilson. So after his mistake earlier on, it'll be difficult to bring back that time. But if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Thomas Knoll. Of course, Scott Neaton out of the race. David Cudmore still out there, but he's pretty much half a lap down on the race leaders. With decent lap times, only about a second off the pace is David. That's good showing from him today around such a difficult circuit. Hopefully we'll be compared to Monza, maybe a circuit, arguably quite a simple circuit, with the fact that there's not too many corners, and it's very much the same type of corner repeated over and over again. Hopefully we'll see a strong showing from it there. 7/10 of a second now separates Daly and Knoll. Knoll on that last lap was 1.5 seconds quicker than the race leader, 1.3 seconds faster than Byron Daly. Can get this one done nice and quick, Marco. He's certainly on track to challenge the Team Chimera race leader.
Absolutely. Let's see how long does it take for Knoll to really come into overtake distance. I think, judging by how much he has gained in the past few laps, it's going to be very soon. And remarkable to think that car also got a big hit from behind at the beginning of the race, and still going strong. This car has been accused with, and rightfully so, of being a little bit too fragile, but Thomas Knoll seems to have found the magic ingredient, at least on his rear end, and now the car is going very fast, despite that, being involved in that chaos on the very first lap.
Yeah, it was just a small hit, but I certainly can't see any visible damage on that rear wing. certainly hasn't set him back whatsoever. Always think back to Felipe Massa, 2011 Spain, where he lost part of his front wing and decided to go half a second lap faster.
I remember that.
Famous quotes of, I think we've found the solution. 4/10 of a second now between these two. I'm sure if you lost the rear wing, it would help you down the straights. Maybe not so much through the corners, especially that one. Of course, you need lots of downforce to keep the car stuck down. Easy can go light. The car's poor exit from Daly, and this could be the moment that Thomas Knoll moves back up into second place. Daly defending right to the pit wall. The track does extend out, but he doesn't decide to use that part of the circuit. Does Thomas Knoll now trying to get the cut back on his rival, but he's really missed the apex, and these two just losing each other time all of a sudden. Knoll has got to get this one done within the next couple of minutes. Otherwise, Wilson's just going to be too far ahead.
Exactly, and I think this will be the right moment, despite being in the draft. No, as soon as I say that, Knoll loses a little bit of grip. His car understeered quite clearly from the chopper shot that we had, and now this means that Daly is able to pull away, just a little bit, and that's what he needs to be able to defend, not only here but also in this after this long straight, unless Thomas Knoll can activate his DRS and maybe close the gap, but I don't think that this is happening because the gap is steady around 0.7 of a second. So another occasion lost, another chance lost and missed by Knoll to make the overtake, so he will have to wait, I think, a little bit more. But I know what we have to do to make this happen. We have to talk about the fantastic week coming on Apex Racing TV, because we just lightly touched on it. But if you like historic tracks, this is going to be the week for you. I mean, the BSR leagues, so the 2MX5 leagues on Monday, Tuesday, and the BSR Radicals are at Sebring. So, and of course also the 90-minute events there, no? So you see, as soon as I say that, here comes Knoll for the overtake.
Here we go. Well, he missed the apex on the last lap. This time, again, he's just not really attacking it with enough conviction at the moment. So he really needs to be quite kind of sudden on the wheel movement to really get the power floored on the exit. But he's just a little bit too calm. As, well, once again, a little bit offline through this part of the circuit, and it just sets him back. But this time, he's considerably better. He's within quarter of a second, and this could be the opportunity. Through the nothing corner, they go into turn 9. Down the inside goes Thomas Knoll. Up into second place once again. Now, is he going to be okay into 10? Daly has got a really good run, and he's been very good at getting moves done down this straight. He'll go to the inside. Nothing that Knoll could do there as they nearly make contact. Fastest part of the circuit. Knoll on the outside, Daly on the inside. He's really late on the brakes this Byron Daly, but he's got it stopped once again. Fantastic defense. He was defending great against Jamie Wilson earlier on. And much to the frustration of Thomas Knoll, he's doing the same again. But there's no doubt that these two are going to be side by side going into turn 1. I think that's where Knoll's got to take the inside going into turn 1, because you saw Daly there with the brave to go for the inside down the back straight. If it means going into the pit lane exit kind of line, I think he's got to take it, has Thomas Knoll.
Great stuff, you are right. Let's see, because now Knoll will be a little bit more impatient. He's got a fantastic run coming out of the final corner.
Goes to the outside. Will he try the dummy? No, he's just going to stay to the outside normally. Daly, once again, just so good on the brakes. Nothing that Knoll can do around the outside. He's trying to get the cutback every single time, but the problem is you then come into the entry of these S's, and there's absolutely no chance that move. This has very much ruined the battle for the lead, I think, now, because 4.5 seconds is the gap between first and third. But this is certainly fulfilling us anyway.
Here we go.
Knoll, 0.2 of a second behind. Where you go for the move into the hairpin. No, he's going to try to line it all up. Is Daly a little bit deep on the brakes? No, he's pretty much got it perfect. So today has Noel. And the gap is 4.5 tenths of a second. Trying to break the draft is Byron Daly. The Scuderia Carolina. Thomas Noel, the privateer. Closing, down to 3 tenths of a second. Quarter of a second. 2 tenths of a second. Is he going to be brave on the brakes? No. And, well, Daly's just not making any mistakes right now, is he, Mike? I haven't seen him miss an apex for the entire race.
And not easy to do when you are under pressure like this. Thomas Noel basically knows that rear end of the Scuderia Carolina Formula Renault 3.5 very, very well now. He's been sitting there for quite a bit. And he hasn't been able to complete the pass. As once again we are back to the final corner, back to the corner where Noel usually is able to get always a fantastic run, but cannot make it happen in the first corner. Let's see, as Wilson, fastest lap of the race, 47.1.
Yeah, he's a little bit further back this time. That might prove to be an advantage, but no, not really gaining whatsoever down that straight. Not quite sure what the reason for that was. Maybe using a DRS was Byron Daly. But absolutely no gain down that straight whatsoever. But that's not where his best chance is going to be. He's probably going to get it done in the turn 9 or turn 10 hairpins. And then it's got to really break the draft. 5 seconds now, the gap between the top two. 7 minutes to go. Once again, trying to absolutely nail the exit. Maybe not perfect there from Thomas Noel, but it might be good enough. Daly, once again, going all the way to the inside of the circuit. He's going to have to go onto the red stuff if Noel is going to make this move, but maybe just a little bit of a gap. No, Daly, once again, covers it off. Round the outside goes Thomas Noel. He's got the overspeed. Has he got the overtake? Round the outside he goes, Thomas Noel. He's going to have the inside for the next corner. And this could just be job done. He's deep on the brakes, and finally, after 3 or 4 laps of trying, Thomas Noel finally moves up into second position.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff there. Great racing from these two guys. I hate to repeat myself, but look at the incredible racing action that we are having with 4 cars on the track. I mean, I really cannot believe this. It's fantastic what these guys are doing, and this car is fantastic. Of course, I understand why people immediately abandoned it because of the new chance of having the World Championship with Porsche. But Sam, qualification for the World Championship are almost over. So who knows next season?
Oh, he's off. Noel has completely lost it. And after working so hard to move up into second position, he has thrown it away at the first opportunity.
Let's see. Once again. The old one, of course. Apologies, but he doesn't like that corner, let's put it this way. And so frustrating after all this hard work. And now you see your opponent lazily going by. And I think another problem for Thomas Noel, because he's going very, very slow. Let's catch a replay of that. Or is it a false positive? No, another mistake. Disaster for Thomas Noel after all this great driving between himself and Byron Daly. He will have to settle for P3.
Maybe the tyre's just overheating, because he had a big slide going through turn 1 with that spin. And of course through the S's as well, really punching the tyres. Jamie Wilson, we haven't really seen too much of him, and of course, no offense to him, but we can't be rooting for everyone else, because he's certainly been the established driver out there, really showing how it's done to everyone else. He's got 3 more laps to go, yeah, he'll just have 3 more laps to go. He could potentially slow down and make it only 2, but I think he'll be quite happy to continue these laps.
The tires and the fuel, we don't pay for them, so Well, I think he just had the purple sector 1, by the way, so he's not listening to you.
No.
So now we can go back to the schedule on Apex Racing TV for the upcoming week. Like I said, if you like Sebring, you are in luck. The BSR leagues, right, Sam? Also the Radicals, I think, are there, and of course the special event on Saturday. No, so we have. If you like Sebring, you are in luck. I'd say.
Absolutely. Where do you know where the other races are?
Yes, absolutely.
Sim Races World?
Okay, sim. If you like, you know, for example, if you like Monza, we have the World GT on Monday, and the Apex Racing League on Sunday. If you like Italy, also we have the Euro V8s at Imola on Saturday.
Ooh, that'll be good.
So that is nice. The Le Mans series, you like another historic track, is at Le Mans. So what more can you ask? And also the Rick Motec will be at Motegi on basically in the night between Monday and Tuesday. The Sim Racers World is sadly off for this week, but next week, in 2 weeks, they will be at Sebring once again. So the World GT will be in Le Mans on next Monday. The MX5s and the Radicals and the Monday and Tuesday League will be at Bathurst next week. So, and of course, speaking of double headers, in 2 weeks' time, on the 26th of February, which is a Tuesday, we will have the usual coverage of the MX5 round 12 from Bathurst, and also a very, very, very important event going on at the same time, basically, the Race for Alex number 52 charity race, GTEs from Imola. We have we are proud to bring you this special event. There will be, of course, a link live for donations to this important matter, you know, of suicide prevention. And like I said, there are many, many, many big names and not so big names, but everyone joining in this charity race. So we are very proud to bring you that special event on Tuesday, the 26th of February. So you don't want to miss that. I think. It's going to be a great occasion, great drivers for a great cause.
Yeah, absolutely. That's for the charity Beautiful Inside and Out, I believe.
Yes.
And yeah, absolutely fantastic. Because I was looking at the fundraising and the target of £1,000 being raised, a lot of that from the iRacing community. I think they're up to about 940 now. So hopefully by the time that event comes along, we are going to be able to break that through, and that's yeah, in a fantastic cause. And like Mike said, we are very pleased to be broadcasting it on Apex Racing TV. And looking at the entry list, it's going to be a super competitive race as well. So yeah, certainly tune in for that. One won't be this Tuesday, but the following one, as Jamie Wilson starts his final lap of the race. He is 10 seconds ahead of Byron Daly. Noel has come back a couple of times in this race. I don't think he's going to be able to come back once again. He's 5 seconds off Byron Daly. Dave Cudmore still going on out there, but like I said, half a lap down on the race leader. I have a bit of a lonely last lap, and Scott Newton, race 1 winner, was looking so strong for race 2, was in the lead from last on the grid within just a few corners. It went southwards very, very quickly for the Southern Hemisphere driver. And yeah, certainly hasn't been able to recover after big contact with David Cudmore. But Jamie Wilson, as he enters the kind of final part of the circuit, is pretty much half a lap almost in terms of time. And he's been fantastic all through today, Mark. He's another driver I haven't seen him miss an Apex all day. And with his overtaking moves, really patient, and it's worked out for him.
He has been super in the second race. He withstand the pressure in the beginning. Of course, he was able to get a bit lucky, but you know, avoiding crashes is a skill, I say. And he gets the P1 spot in this race, well deserved.
Yep, Jamie Wilson wins race 2 at Circuit of the Americas. in the Apex Racing League's Renault 3.5 Championship. The Team Chimera. Byron Daly, a hard-fought second position. 2 podiums for him today. Thomas Knoll will be third, and once again will be frustrated with that one. Had the pace to win. But, well, I think even in that second race, with the pace that Wilson had in the latter stages, would have still only finished second place. But he will still be quite annoyed, will the privateer. And of course, David Cudmore, the Joe who very much changed the outlook on this race, making contact with Scott Neaton and Thomas Knoll in the opening stages. Of course, not his fault, it was a netcode contact. He will finish in 4th place. More consistent results for David, and he's accumulating plenty of points. Going to be one of the front runners in this championship. And of course, Scott Newton, as we've already said, finishing in 5th position. So, Marco, we've already said it a couple of times, but the small field out there didn't deny us from having a great race. It's rare that we see 3 drivers going at it for the race win, and 4 drivers certainly having the potential for the race win.
Exactly. It was a very, very competitive race, despite the small field. Let's hope for, more drivers for the final 2 rounds. We go to 2 super popular tracks, like we said, Monza and Spa. And yeah, so I really, really, really invite you. Like I said, talk to the organizers, tell them that we sent you, Sam and myself, and you might even get in for free for the final 2 rounds. And the fun is guaranteed, and more importantly, you get to be on TV on Sunday. I mean, Formula 1 is off, so you are the main event of the afternoon, I'd say. Here on the screen, by the way, Sam, the race results for race 2.
Yes, and also the link to the sign-up forms can be found on the Renault 3.5 forums. There is a post up in there. So, yeah, the results. Jamie Wilson, after missing out so close on a race 1 victory, does take the race 2 victory. Byron Daly, a solid second, only 10 seconds off the lead. Thomas Knoll in 3rd. David Cudmore was in 5th place, and Scott Newton, the only retirement, in 5th. 21 laps down. We sometimes have interviews with drivers, and well, I don't think we've got anyone at the moment. So yeah, of course, later on in the week we will have the World GT. That's tomorrow, and also the Masters as well, and the Rick Matek Sportscast shows as well on the Monday evening. And of course, yeah, 2 rounds to go in this championship. I imagine, Marco, still Martin Van Leeuwen not leading the championship quite comfortably, but Byron Daly can't be too far behind now.
And Martin Van Leeuwen will also miss next week because, lucky him, is on vacation. So we might have, unbelievably, I'd say, everything to play for in the final round at Spa-Francorchamps in 2 weeks. So honestly, I cannot wait, and once again, I invite you to join the series and join in the fun, and maybe next season with the Porsche qualification out of the way, and maybe those drivers that weren't lucky enough to get into that series or don't like that car for whatever reason they tried this season, maybe they join us for the fun as well. Who knows? But yes, I mean, we are basically on the doorstep of a great week on Apex Racing TV. There are many fantastic races in historic tracks all week long. So tomorrow it begins basically.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, Matej Karastein, once he turns up for next week as well, could also get himself right in the mix. You do not want to miss the final 2 rounds of this championship, along with all the other broadcasts, of course, we do on Apex Racing TV if you haven't already. Of course, subscribe to the channel and like our Facebook page, and follow us on Twitch, and also follow us on Instagram as well. But for now, from me and from Marco as well, we will say goodbye, and we will see you next time.